Hey everyone, welcome back to After Credit Reflection. My name is Nolan, and I just wanted to talk a little bit about Supergirl. Now, I know what you're going to say. I know, I've seen the reviews. I've seen that people think that this is a bad movie or it sends a bad message, and I watched it and it doesn't. It doesn't send that message at all. If anything, it is the exact superhero movie that we need right now, and I will explain why in this reflection. Now, if you don't know what it's about, Supergirl is about Kara Zor-El, the cousin of Superman and one of the last survivors of Krypton. And honestly, this movie does kind of paint a picture as to the tragedy that Krypton and then Argo had to go through, and kind of that journey of adapting to a new environment that Kara had to go through. And it shows this grief that she still deals with to this day of losing everything she loves, except for crypto, obviously. But one of the things in this movie that kind of drives her to kill the villain, or to find the villain at least, is this need to save crypto. And it's shown in the trailer that crypto gets shot with something. So in the movie it's explained better, and they have 3 days to find the villain, they being Kara and the other main protagonist of this story, who I will talk about because she does go on the main hero's journey of this story, and Kara operates more like the mentor along this hero's journey. But overall, this is a story about Supergirl and her redeeming herself as a hero instead of just somebody who solves everyday problems with her strength and laser vision. Another key portion of this movie that I actually really loved was the integration of Jason Momoa's Lobo. Now, if you don't know who Lobo is, he's basically, they explained it in the movie, but he's basically a god or a demigod who needed to prove his strength and killed his entire race of people. And so he's kind of a jerk. And Jason Momoa plays it as him, as this self-centered jerk. Self-centered bounty hunter jerk, I should say. But overall, I think that Jason Momoa, unlike his previous or his recent roles where he kind of goes a little bit too wild, he actually focuses up for this role and is perfect for this role. Now, let's get into this story. So this story isn't necessarily all about Kara. Yes, it starts out with her and ends with her, but in between there's this whole hero's journey that went on by the other character that accompanies Kara. And her father is a swordsmith, and her family gets killed by a mercenary who is the main villain of this story. And at the climax of the film, the writers made what I think was one of the dumbest story decisions, but also one of the best, because I'm not going to give any spoilers, but I will say that the hero's journey that is went on by the person accompanying Kara is one of the best scenes in film. And I said that about Adam in Masters of the Universe, but I'm saying it again here because it is one of the most clear hero's journey that we've seen. Now you're probably wondering, how does this compare to last year's Superman? Well, they're two completely different movies in two completely different settings. I just want to say that I think story-wise, Supergirl beats Superman. In terms of quality of film and quality of shots, I think that Superman has Supergirl beat. And those kind of go hand in hand. So because it's split, I think that they're rather even. I've seen the reviews for Supergirl saying it's terrible, like I said at the beginning of the video, but I think that people underestimate the power of storytelling and kind of the resonance that it can hold. So when you have a story to tell, you need to tell that story or no one will hear it. No one will hear the story. No one will hear the message that you are trying to get out if you don't say something, if you don't get that story out. So I think that that is the purpose of film, is to tell stories we couldn't normally say. But we can write scripts of characters saying these things that we could or never say ourselves. And so art imitates life, but life creates art. And I am a Christian, and so God created life and God influences art. So I think that overall, this film really showed the power of storytelling, and James Gunn usually does that with his stories, but this time it's a little bit different because this story is real and it's grounded and it talks about mental health and it talks about grief and it talks about coping mechanisms and it talks about PTSD and reactions without even mentioning those things specifically, but it shows it in its message. And I just think that is one of the best things about this movie, is that it talks about all of those things and yet says it in a way that people can understand it, instead of looking at a screen and just, I mean, you are looking at a screen when you watch a movie, but when you're looking at a screen like your phone or a tablet or even a TV, there's not really much resonance that goes in as much as there would be in a movie theater, because it's something about the projector projecting that image on screen and having it be massive in front of you that you're like, oh my gosh, I get this message. Oh, this character's like me. That is one of my favorite things in film, is that people can relate to these characters and relate to their stories, and therefore they'll have stories to tell about seeing these movies. And it's one of the best things in the world to go to a cinema and to experience the popcorn and the soda and everything. Anyways, sorry about getting on a little soapbox there, but I feel like that needed to be said. I think that Supergirl is one of the best movies in theaters right now. The reason I think so is because a lot of people are focusing on things that don't really matter. Like they're worried about the smallest things, and they're getting upset over the smallest things, when Supergirl is it's not meant to draw on nostalgia for this character. It's not meant to draw on nostalgia for Lobo. It's meant to be an art medium to showcase the emotional side of the human mind and the creativity that comes from it. And so, whether you like this movie or not, doesn't matter. You have to acknowledge that art will always prevail. And art is created by life. God created life. God influences art. It is one of the best cycles in the world. Anyways, so wrapping up, I didn't really talk much about Supergirl. I went on a whole thing about art in movies. And I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry for that. But I felt like it needed to be covered. And so I covered it. But I do hope that you enjoyed this movie, because it is a very good depiction of how far the human mind can go in terms of art. And that doesn't make it bad. Yes, there are parts that I wish were better. I wish it was longer, so that way there could be some plot holes that are filled in. And I won't go into those plot holes because I don't do spoilers. Because if you haven't seen the movie yet, I don't want to spoil it for you. And so, go watch this movie. Or go watch any movie. But keep in mind that at one point, somebody thought, nobody will understand this. And then they put a movie out. And suddenly there are fans and people just reaching out to them being like, hey, I related to this character. Can you talk more about this? Hey, I'm just like this character that you wrote about. Hey, I'm struggling with a lot and your characters help me get through tough times. I've had movies like that. I have had so many movies like that. And I think that Supergirl is going to be a movie like that for so many people. And so, go watch it. It is a very good movie. Despite all the bad reviews, it is a very good movie. It could be longer. There could be a little bit more character development in terms of Lobo and Kara. But overall, this is a good movie. And so, with that being said, it's time for the review portion. Given all that I said about art, that doesn't necessarily relate just to this movie. So because of that, I'm going to say my review. I'm going to say that Supergirl gets an 8.5. And I placed it low because of plot holes, because of the movie, in my opinion, wasn't long enough to include a lot more character development. And I think that in terms of Millie Alcock as Supergirl, I think that she did a fantastic job. But also at the same time, it's a different tone than we're used to seeing with Supergirl. And so I think an 8.5 is a rather honest review from me, an honest 8.5 out of 10. So, yeah. With all that being said, I hope that you have enjoyed this video. If you have, that's awesome. You should subscribe because I do more in-depth movie reviews, what I call reflections. And so I think that if you want to enjoy this video, I'm going to keep talking about the art of movies and diving into the setting and the characters in the script. Today I didn't really do that, and so I apologize. But overall, if you do go to like this, go like it, subscribe, whatever you need to do. If you don't, if it's not your cup of tea, that's awesome. But I do hope that you sincerely enjoy going to the movies. And so I hope you find somebody who is trustworthy when they're reviewing movies. And so I will like to say that when I do make movie reviews, it is of my own opinion. There's nobody influencing my opinion in terms of this movie. And so I just wanted to say that outright so that way nobody's like, oh my gosh, you're getting your news from other people. No, when I saw the reviews of Supergirl, I was like, okay, I need to see this movie so that way I can give my honest feedback. And so here's my honest feedback. and I shared it in today's video. So I hope that you all have an amazing day, and I hope to see you next time on After Credit Reflection.